Good morning.
Good morning.
We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand. When Randy or I call on you, come up to the podium or unmute yourself and then speak. Dolores.
This Saturday is our first potluck of the year. Okay, and it'll be here in the sanctuary, and it's by Diane and Tom Harris and myself. And so 5 o'clock, bring your dish to share. Happy potluck season.
Come on, can you make this step? Or you want to stay there?
Sure.
Okay, be careful.
Before your potluck, please come to my 90th birthday party at the Episcopal Church. And bring food, it'll be potluck also. And we're planning singing, dancing, and just visiting. Even if it's 5 minutes or 50 minutes, whatever you can spare, please come by. Saturday at the Episcopal Church. 12 to 4, yeah. Thanks.
Just a quick one, our monthly TED Talk discussion group will be meeting this Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock online. I'll send out an email blast with the Zoom link and the topic for discussion, 4 o'clock this coming Wednesday, online only. Thanks.
Wayne.
This is the last time I'm going to be announcing this because the event is this afternoon. Green Space Speaker Series will be reporting on the mammals that we tracked over a 2-month period in the fall in Strawberry Canyon. 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock here, and $10 donation if you can manage.
Okay, Randy.
No announcements from here. Back to you.
Next week, Michael Woody will present the history of the Salinan Indians on the Central Coast. Let us take a moment now to still our hearts, quiet our minds, and center ourselves. Here we are in our sanctuary again, a place of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering. Here we are at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores of today and tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day at a time. By Sherry Woodbury. Kelly Teven will light the chalice here in the sanctuary. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, O Life That Maketh All Things New, number 12.
O life that maketh all things new, the blooming heart, our thoughts within, our pilgrim feet wet with thy dew, in gladness thither turn again. From hand to hand the greeting flows, from eye to eye the signals run, from heart to heart the bright hope glows, the seekers of the light are one in the freedom of the truth, one in the joy of paths untrod, one in the soul's perennial youth, one in the larger thought of God. The freer step, the fuller breath, the wide horizon's wider view, the sense of life that knows no death, the life that maketh all things new.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. You're welcome. We're glad you've joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. Did you know that neither the Salinan nor the Chumash traditionally separated mind, spirit, body, and community the way Western psychology does? Dreams were meaningful communications that could offer guidance, warnings of imbalance, and could reveal vocation or power. Certain individuals were trained to interpret and act on dreams which served as emotional regulation, unconscious processing, and moral guidance. Rituals also functioned psychologically to process grief, regulate fear, mark transitions, and restore coherence after trauma. Rather than taking it out, people moved. Rather than talking it out, people moved, sang, fasted, danced, or sat with elders. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders, to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect us with the UU7 principles and 6 values: equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, justice, and interdependence, with love at the center. Today's service centers around the 3rd principle. We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. My name is Diane DeMarco, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. We extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning. Do we have any visitors for today? If you are on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out What's Happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. To see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. Now is the time for sharing your heartfelt joys and concerns with this, your spiritual community. Please feel free to come forward and briefly express a personal celebration, sorrow, reflection, or gratitude. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. The first reading is by Brené Brown, an American academic. I think midlife is when the universe gently places her hands upon your shoulders, pulls you close, and whispers in your ear, I'm not screwing around. It's time. All of this pretending and performing, these coping mechanisms that you've developed to protect yourself from feeling inadequate and getting hurt, has to go. Your armor is preventing you from growing into your gifts. I understand that you needed these protections when you were small. Understand that you believed your armor could help you secure all the things you needed to feel worthy of love and belonging, but you're still searching and you're more lost than ever. Time is growing short. There are unexplored adventures ahead of you. You can't live the rest of your life worried about what other people think. You were born worthy of love and belonging. Courage and daring are coursing through you. You were made to live and love with your whole heart. It's time to show up and be seen. Let us enter a place of silence where you are one with your spiritual being, and remember that what we face with compassion loses its power to wound and gains the power to heal. Let us enter the stillness. May change stretch us, settle us, or even unsettle us, even ache a little. This discomfort is not a failure. It is a sign that something alive is moving, percolating, making ready for new possibilities. The second reading is an autobiography in 5 short chapters by Portia Nelson. 1. I walk down the street. There's a hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes me forever to find a way out. 2. I walk down the same street. There is a hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. 5. I walk down another street. Please stand in body or spirit and sing out praises for the journey, number 295.
Sing out praises for the journey, pilgrims we who carry on, searchers in the soul's deep yearnings, like our forebears in their time. We sing out the Spirit's wholeness in the endless human quest. Lord, inside your souls the kindling of the hearth our pilgrims knew. Find the Spirit always restless, find it in each mind and heart. Touch and hold that ancient yearning, kindling for a new found truth. Stand we now upon the threshold, facing futures yet unknown. Hearth behind us, wayside hostel, built by those who knew wide roads. Guard we ere their sacred embers, carried in our minds and hearts.
Today's talk is titled, Is the Process of Change Painful? Hint, it's a trick question. To be delivered by Beth Denham. Beth works with people expanding healthy lifestyles, recovery, improving relationships, changing work roles, and the ups and downs of life. She has had pain and dark times too. She enlisted help and support as she navigated through those times. Her life experiences allows her to truly understand her clients' challenges and help them find resources outside of her coaching as well. Beth has worked in nursing for 40 years with people of all ages. This includes working in a hospital setting, with families at home, and at health screening clinics doing one-to-one health coaching. She enjoys helping people make changes in many areas of their lives. Beth.
Good morning. Hi, Kelly. I am so happy to be here, and any nerves I had from resolving things where I'm house sitting to coming here just calmed. And I thought, wow, I should have taken a little more time to meditate. And Diane says, let us go into meditation. I'm like, yes. So that really helped. Okay, they gave me a technological tool here. What I want to talk about today is how what I do with coaching helps people to make change, and what comes before change, and why we see change as hard sometimes, and about being stuck and what makes us willing to move a little bit. I have some experience with this. I left some flyers and cards in the foyer, not to sell anything, but to explain what I do. Okay. This quote is, moving forward. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. All great changes are preceded by chaos, Deepak Chopra. I think that's really true. And what chaos looks like sometimes is maybe an illness, either sudden or chronic, a loss of some kind, a failure, maybe a betrayal, something that breaks the status quo, whatever the status quo is. And what I believe is that it reminds us we're not in control. And for a lot of us, well, I can speak for myself, that's one that I get to learn over and over and over again. And it's okay, and it's true. Okay, this is a very encouraging sign. If I saw this on the road, I would do a U-turn immediately. And the feelings that it lists are, for me, what comes before change, or when that break happens, or when that realization comes that, oh, this has got to stop, or that you have been just leveled by something, and what you're doing is good, but it's not working anymore exactly, and you want to move on to something else. There's a really good quote, and I don't have it here, but it's about change becomes easier than staying stuck in the chaos and the pain of not changing. And my first response used to be, when I felt that lack of control, was try harder. Just try harder. You know, push more. And I found that that's not always the best thing, and that change is needed. But something has to get my attention. And another thing, the trick question is the process of change painful, or is my resistance to change the painful part of the process? And I can relate to the second part of that. And we'll talk a little bit about comfort zone and discomfort in a little bit. Sometimes when I work with people, they say, well, I just don't know if I'm worth it, if I'm worthy of making all this effort to change. And I say, well, there's a really easy test that I learned. And what you can do is take your dominant hand and put it over your wrist. And can you feel your pulse? And I'll say yes. And I'll say, okay, you're worthy. You know, you were put here, and that makes you worthy. So resistance, often a problem. Change begins at the end of your comfort zone. A comfort zone is a really beautiful place, but from what I know, nothing ever grows there. And we all lean towards what is easy, or immediate gratification, that sort of thing. I think it's just a human thing to do. I don't mean, you know, we as the people of Cambria. I mean, all of us, because a friend of ours says, we're all asleep dreaming that we're awake. I like that. Because the change and whatever it is that's getting our attention is going to wake us up, hopefully. And I know that it took me a long time to wake up. I know that I have come across, fellow travelers on the path, maybe people in my family, maybe people I bump into, that have been awake a lot longer than I have. And the ones I stick with are the ones that have compassion for each other. And I know people that, in my experience, that aren't around anymore, that never woke up in whatever way they had the chance to, because I think we're all given the chance to do that. Okay, why work through discomfort? Personally, I grow at the rate of pain. Sometimes it has to hurt a lot. And I'm going to give some examples of the action and the payoff. The action might be accepting or declining social activities and commitments. I know a lot of people, and I work with people that have a lot of commitments, and the commitments overlap, and there's not enough time in the day, and it feels like we're really pouring ourselves out there. And it's normal for a lot of us, and we're maybe generous people, and maybe we've been well trained in our families, or whatever it is, it's what we do for work. And if you decide to either accept or decline commitments, then the discomfort might be FOMO, which is fear of missing out, right? You're going to miss something. It's going to be fun and you weren't there, And then the ultimate thing is others are going to be disappointed in us. And I could talk a lot about what others think of us, but that's another talk. And how important we make it or don't make it in our lives, and how that affects how we live our lives. If we take the action, the result may be increased self-confidence, and maybe you're more rested and happy. Let's step to the side just a minute. Often if I feel frustrated, or I feel like I'm angry at somebody or a situation, for me, it's often I haven't said something that I need to say. I stuffed it. I swallowed it. I didn't. I wanted to be nice. I didn't want to, make waves. It's not so much that way anymore, but I'm very aware of the process. And often I will have said something that now, I really, really should have used the spiritual duct tape and just took a pause and, but it came out of my face, and now I need to make an amends and make it right. And that's doable, with reasonable people. And if I try and make something right and nobody wants to hear it, that's okay. That's not my job. It's my job to go to the person and say, I'm really sorry. I was a real jerk, and I hadn't eaten, and the things that I said weren't kind, and I'm so sorry. What can I do to make it right? And a lot of people will say, oh, it's okay, or I didn't notice. That's always wonderful. But they might give you a path of action where you can, make it right with them, and that's good. Okay, the next one. You have a new food plan. This is popular this time of year. I came into a program that helps me with food and eating disorders and that sort of thing in 1992. And that was one of my big wake-ups. Big wake-ups. And I didn't understand why my weight was where it was. I was chasing 300 pounds, and I knew it wasn't about being hungry. And so this has a lot of levels to it, but one thing is if you change your food plan and decide to be just a little bit more healthy, you may be hungry sometimes. I had never experienced hunger. All of a sudden, my body, like my stomach was growling. I'm like, what is that noise? Oh, you're hungry. I had to learn to connect with that feeling because I wasn't, on 2-hour feedings anymore, or eating when I felt sad or happy or angry or joyful or fill in the blank. And so what would happen is I'd given up that anesthesia for that day, and feelings came up. And I remember about a month in, I was driving down Hop Yard Road in Pleasanton, I remember it clear as day, and I felt like somebody took the volume knob on my feelings and just went, and just cranked it up. And when I felt happy, I was happy. And when I was sad, I was sobbing. And it was just feelings. But I hadn't been willing to feel the feelings like my whole life. And I was at the end of my 20s right then. And so the result, when we delay the gratification a little bit, can be higher self-esteem, because for me it's just like, okay, one meal at a time. You know, I can't, for me, I had gained and lost 100 pounds many times, and it took me years to get to my top weight, and I wanted it gone by next Thursday, maybe a week later than that, you know? And yeah, that's the response. And that is not realistic unless you start lopping off limbs. And so when you wait and you just say, what can I do like today? And there's a whole bunch of ways to do this. And what I work with people is to find the way that works for them. And you get the ability to work through feelings if you're willing to feel them, and still, you know, stick with your food plan and talk about it with people who get it. That's a big thing. Whatever you're struggling with, there's somebody who's been there. There's a community support group. There's someone somewhere that has done the same thing. And I think we all think sometimes, oh, not me, you know, not me. And yeah, we are not terminally unique. There's somebody out there that has gone through it and who's living a good life despite it. I've run into a bunch of people who've been through things that I cannot imagine. And they're walking around living happy, useful, joyful lives. How do you do that? Well, I ask them, how do you do that? And sometimes they tell me, and I get to apply it to my own life too and use it in my work. Okay. That was my stomach growling. Okay, the next one is consistent exercise. There we go. Okay. The discomfort of consistent exercise, it becomes very apparent. I started this a few months ago to really stick to a plan, also just a day at a time. It takes time each day. I get up at 5 in the morning and I get on the treadmill, and it's not because I jump out of bed and say, woo, I really want to do this. But I just do it each day, and each day I get up and say, can I do this? Yeah, you know, I can do this. And then I don't want to do it too excessively either. I want to give myself a break. Like today, I may take just an easy walk, and I'm not going to swim. I thought I might. And doing different things that I enjoy helps. Sometimes I'm tired after a workout. Sometimes I feel more energy. Sometimes I just pass out on the couch. And sore muscles are possible. Okay, that's the immediate thing. That's the discomfort. And when you stick with it, then you get more strength and endurance. You feel better about yourself. You feel more positive. And you might bump into somebody else when you're out walking or when you go to the gym. I have joined, probably 4 or 5 gyms in my life, and then I learned that you had to go. And I paid the money, hello, and I didn't feel I was getting my money's worth. But what I've learned is that I don't do that very well. I have to do something I can do first thing in the morning, because after work I'm toast. I've always been a morning worker. And you do what works. Happiness comes from growth, not comfort. Who set up that system? I don't know. But with practice, I think it gets a little bit easier. And when you talk to other people who are also working and improving and want to make a difference and want to stay on the planet, want to see their grandkids grow up, stuff like that, it comes into play. Pain in your comfort zone. Pain is inevitable. I put suffering optional, misery optional, but there will be pain. And everybody has their own. It's unpredictable. It's that not in control thing. Okay. I also have my comfort zone, which it is kind of like being asleep. It's comfortable because it's familiar, it's predictable. I don't have to think about hard things. And I'm learning that The best things are outside of that, really. And I have never been a fan of that system, I'll say it again, but it really is true. And I see people all around me that are willing, and that helps me a lot. Okay, are you ready for change? I put a card up by the business center, and it said something about, do you want change? And I went back like a week later, and somebody had written, I want change for a $100 bill. Okay, that's creative. I like it. Okay, if you're not willing to change, don't expect your life to either. That's really true. This woman is not happy, I know that much. Okay, finding your purpose. This one, I love this one. I will probably need to refer to whatever the spirit or a higher power or God or just whatever I use. That's just however you define it, whatever works for you. Things that I've heard are Gus, great universal spirit. I talked to Gus. At a retreat one time, I heard somebody say their higher power was named Sherm, and I said, what? And they said, she, he, her, him, just like run it all together. And so my higher power was Sherm for a while because I was still looking, to find out whoever it was that I was talking to and listening for, what to call that, energy. What works for me is whoever makes trees and keeps my heart beating. I don't have to think about either of those things. They just get done, And they get done in really good timing, too. I don't see anybody stand over a rose bush and say, bloom! It's like, oh, that'll happen in the universe's time. And one of the best exercises I've ever seen for figuring out who that spirit is to you, if you've been searching. And some people haven't been searching. Some people knew since they were little. But I will have somebody write down on the left side of a piece of paper all the qualities that this spirit is. Loving, accepting, honest, funny, ironic, whatever. And then over here what God isn't, when they're looking, and judgmental or harsh or punishing or anything that, we grew up maybe thinking about the universal spirit. And then you carefully fold the paper in half, and then you rip it down the middle, and you throw away what God isn't, and you keep the other, and that's who the universal spirit is to you. And it can be different for everybody. So that's who I talk to when I want to find my purpose. And there's a really fancy prayer that I learned from a Jesuit priest that we travel with, and he's one of the smartest people I've ever known. He taught at Loyola High School down in LA, and he's just a genius, and he has a really good sense of humor. And he said, okay, I'm going to teach you this prayer. It's very fancy, and you might want to write it down. And I mean, he went on for like 5 minutes, and everybody's listening. It's like, okay. And he just went, are you ready? Yes. And he went, help! And that's the fancy prayer, It works. So finding your purpose, I like to talk to whoever is beating my heart. And you can help others while you're transforming. You can be on the path together to heal or change. You can talk to people who aren't there yet, but they know they want something, they don't know what it is. And when I read the third principle for your community about acceptance of one another, I see that. It's so important. And encouraging spiritual growth in our congregations, encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. I see that here. I saw that in the first 20 minutes of everybody coming up here and what Diane was saying and the music and the teamwork. I saw it at the rehearsal yesterday, and I am so in awe of the technology skills that people have here. I want to be you when I grow up. And actually, I printed out my slides because I realized yesterday I don't know if I'm going to be able to see those or not. So anyway, we're all in it together, and we can help one another if we choose, right? And we can bring like-minded people together if we choose. And I can't say that everybody in the world is choosing that right now. I'm not going to go out there and, talk about that. But it gives me hope. It gives me encouragement to sit in this room, and I'll probably be back because it just feels so good. And what I feel here is love and authenticity, which I just love. Okay, another side step. Do you need rest or change? If you can ask yourself, would 2 weeks of really deep rest, would the problem still be asking for my attention after that? If I really had a chance to disconnect and eat good food and take naps and get outside, connect with my inner circle people. If I had a chance to do that for a couple weeks, would it make a difference? Would this problem still be knocking on my door? And so we're going to talk about self-care. Stop doing what doesn't work. That's kind of what I would call a no-brainer, but it's what we have to do to change, Okay, types of self-care. For your body, sleep, stretching, walking. Physical release, healthy food, yoga, rest. Emotionally, stress management, emotional maturity, I'm working on that. Forgiveness, compassion, and kindness. I see a lot of that here this morning. And for social self-care, positive social media caught my eye. I'm like, boundaries, support systems in it together, time with your tribe, and asking for help. When I was little, my parents owned a little motel up in Paradise, California. And so when I was growing up, every Sunday morning, I would go to a church with one of my girlfriends. And it wasn't that I had, a huge interest in theology and spiritual growth. It was because if I stayed home, I would be cleaning toilets. So I just want to say that none of that stuck, but the cookies were great. But none of that stuck until I got to that place where I had to make a change in my life. And then I thought, I don't believe in anything within myself. I don't believe in anything outside of myself. But I'm finding people that do have happy lives, so maybe I need to talk to them, one-on-one, in a group, whatever. What I had was not working for me. Spiritual, time alone. I'm an introvert. I recharge by being alone. And it's really important, and my partner has learned that solitude does not mean that I don't like him. It means that I need to replenish. My battery's low, I'm running on fumes, and I don't get more patient as I get more depleted. So he knows enough to say, hey, go for a walk, whatever you need to do, I know you'll come back. Meditation, really important. Yoga, connection with other humans. Nature, journaling, sacred space. I like to make one of those in my house or my yard, and it's not fancy, but it's a place that reminds me I'm connected. I'm connected to the earth, I'm connected to the spirit, I'm connected to all of you in some way, and for one more day I don't have to worry about beating my heart. Somebody's going to help me with that, and I appreciate it. Okay, and that's all of them. It's slightly overwhelming. Okay, doing one thing differently. Make your bed seems really small. I can't say I always do it, but when I do, it kind of sets the tone for my day. I have a spiritual routine in the morning. It's not fancy, it works, and I read some things, and I talk a little bit, and I listen, and I connect with other people, and sometimes I make my bed, and it just, no matter how the day goes, what happens, happens, right? But where my head is, and the way I'm looking at what's happening helps me to respond better, and making my bed is a start. I've heard it called just take one true action, take one contrary action. something as silly as, well, if you tie your right shoe first, although tie your left shoe, do something different, take a different route to work, whatever. It just kind of shakes you out of that usual comfort zone. I don't have to think too much about this kind of place that we all get to. Tell your truth, say no, say yes, ask for help. And I think just hanging in there with taking the small actions pays off so quickly. And there's a million podcasts and books and everything about how to do this. And I keep people close that understand the language that I speak and kind of tolerate some of the words I use. And it's like there's just so much to learn. And I gravitate towards people who want to learn more. And I tend to shy away from people who have it all nailed down. Probably because I don't. And because the older I get, the less I know. How does that work? I'm less certain of so many things now. And I realize that just doing the first thing, just do the next thing. It doesn't have to be the right thing, just do the next thing, because action is what helps always. I can stay in my head, but if I don't get up and do something, nothing's really going to change. And if I'm in my head, okay, fine, but the thought will lead me to a plan. And if I need to talk to somebody, great. Sometimes I talk to my friends, and sometimes I had a coach, and she actually helped me make the decision to become a coach, and it wasn't intentional. I just said, I've been a nurse for a long time, and I don't want my back to give out and just to be depleted. But I know we just worked through, like, what skills did I have? What skills did I need? What did my life experience bring? What training did I need? Do that. And she just helped me because she was able to say things to me that my friends wouldn't. Maybe they'd co-sign me a little bit. Or maybe they didn't hold me accountable, not in a bad way, but just to check in, and say, hey, how are you doing with, because maybe somebody didn't want to hear the answer, or somebody knew how I was doing and it wasn't great, or I was doing well and they were like, oh, I should be doing something, whatever. It's just really helpful to have somebody who can help you with structure and to listen, because I really believe that everybody wants to be seen and heard. That's it. Since we were like very little. And when you find somebody that can do that and listen to you and ask you questions and really hear what's important to you, it's life-changing. Okay, this is a lot of writing, but what I can say is that taking action can help you. If you do the little actions, they add up to long-term progress. And consistency and the discipline to keep taking the action is what helps. Another thing is it helps when you do things like this, it helps you to pause and respond instead of react. I used to be a reactor. Like, somebody would say something to me, it would strike me wrong, and now it's like, okay, is this about me? I don't know. And I've learned to say these revolutionary things like, can I get back to you about that? Or let me check my calendar and I'll call you tomorrow. Or the big one, I don't know. I'm willing to find out, but I don't know. And I wasn't able to do that before. And it's practice and practice and practice. And I love working with people to help with that. Better communication and relationship. Any relationship, work, home, friends, spouse, dog, whatever. Taking the action is what really helps the most. And this was my IT guy's favorite slide, and I like it too. Because I think to be able to fail, just gloriously fail, is wonderful, because it means you made the effort. Keep it simple, very true. And that's me, and I literally left back there. And I'm more than willing to talk to people. What I do with my cards and stuff, is I give them to somebody and I say, it's not for you, but just if you find somebody that's stuck and you just they're like stuck. Have them give me a call, we'll see if we're a good fit. We're not always. But I love what I do. And I think it serves my purpose, and it serves Sherm's purpose if I'm being useful. That's just my basic prayer, please help me be useful. And the less I define that, the better it is. So I think that's it for me for now. Thank you for listening.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Beth. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received, and for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Look in My Heart, by Mike Menifee.
Okay, this is another new hymn from our virtual hymnal Sing Out Love. Look in My Heart by Mike Menifee. 1, 2, 3.
Look in my heart and you'll find there's a longing deep in my heart where the love knows no end. Called now to serve, will I know how to answer? Peace, love, amen. How can we know what tomorrow will bring us? And we begin is a path without end. Path leads to path, and they join interwoven. Peace, love, amen. So in the light of the
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. The flame of this chalice will no longer burn today, but the light of the flame within our hearts continues to shine brightly, illuminating the love felt in our community. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands. And Beth will lead us in our closing.
Okay, we ready? Okay, I have a quick story. My friends Kathleen and Marilyn gave me a book, and it's about your community. And so yesterday I hadn't figured out my closing yet, so I'm working on the computer and having my coffee, and I knock over the coffee, right? And I said, oh dear, or something like that. And then I ran for the paper towels and mopped everything up, and the book had gotten wet. And I'm like, oh. So I'm using the paper towels and squeegeeing out the book, right? And I said, oh, I better see what the damage is. So I opened it. And this is the page I opened it to. And that's a benefit of being awake. I went, oh, okay. And I made another cup of coffee. So this is a quote by Reverend Dr. Bill Sinkford. And it goes like this. Our faith begins with acceptance. All of us are part of a spirit of life and love that we do not need to earn. We insist that our differences are sources of our strength and beauty. Come as you are.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.